don't know if you can see that, but that came along as a hitchhiker. That spider. Ooh, look at those eyes.
So Yogi.
Yes, Yogi Mama.
You finished rebuilding an entire engine. Every nut, every bolt, lots of bolts, every gasket, everything.
Yes, that's true.
What do you have to say for yourself?
I did it?
Well, to commemorate this, we thought it would be a good idea to mark the occasion with a permanent accessory to your garage.
Is that what that is over there?
That's what that is over there.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, well, I think I know what it is because I can see the little ringies, but Charlotte, show me what it is, sweetheart.
Oh, there it is.
Awesome! So each time I repair a car, I guess I'll get one of those.
Yeah.
Well, then I need a Ford one. What else? And then, of course, when this one's done, that'll be a Porsche one, too. Awesome. Right. Thanks, baby.
You're welcome.
Thanks to you guys online as well. If it wasn't for you guys watching my videos, this wouldn't be happening. So, see you next time.
This is some really good packaging by the QuickJack company. I believe they're owned by BBQ'd. But really good. I mean, the jack is made of metal, but I'm assuming to protect the paint and the damage that can happen during shipping. Clear example of that right over there. They wrapped it in some very expensive wood, or veneered wood, because, you know, wood's expensive. So I may have to resell it.
All right, this is the maiden voyage of my new lift system. It is a QuickJack. I've been using a normal pump jack for a while, and I'm really sick and tired of it. I'm not entirely convinced that this is going to work for me, okay? I need to get this thing up to at least 24 inches, and so I'm going to have to do some finagling here to get this car high enough so that I can drop an engine when the time comes. So in its current form, I'm simply using a single 4-inch block on each jack point, both sides. If you're not familiar with the QuickJack, you should check them out. I'll put a link in the description below. But basically, QuickJack is owned by the same company who makes the professional grade lifts, BBQ'd, and they make this for home use. They also make a max jack, which was on my short list of things to get for this car, but unfortunately, it just wouldn't work out. Even if I recentered my garage door opener, my significant other would not be happy with having a post right here for the majority of the time while the car's in the air. So, you know, I gotta appease my significant others. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and set this up, and we're gonna do a maiden voyage lift on this car. I'm gonna have to make sure that it goes up and goes down without issue.
All right. I'm probably going to have to check it to make sure that it's lifting properly. Here we go.
I've got the height. It's all the way up. It's on the safety stop. But you notice I put some ramp pads there. They're actually detachable ramp pads I'm trying out. So the idea here is to start the jack at that height off the ramp pad. And, you know, I thought about just driving the car up, but this makes more sense to me here. It's already in position. My only concern is that when the jack comes down, when the QuickJack comes down, it's going to hit that. So we'll have to take a look at that and see what the end result is. So let's go ahead and do that.
I had a goal in mind here to leverage the ramp pads to try to get me the necessary height. It didn't dawn on me at this moment that I could have easily used my jack stands to get me the same height that I needed as a starting point. Nevertheless, I put the video clip in here so that you can see that not all good ideas end up coming to fruition, and this is a good example. I will tell you, these SUV stands that are sold by BBQ'd are outstanding. They're really well made, and they gave me just the right height. Once again, my lovely assistant was there to give me all the help that I needed to get the job done. Thanks, babe.
We're down. The Eagles landed. 24. So I gained 4 inches. That's right where it needs to be.
Yeah. You should get on the creeper. Get under there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I still don't have the courage to get under there yet.
Okay.
All right, so I got, thanks to my wife's help, I got this thing up 4 more inches from where it was before because I'm using those SUV stands. And one thing about the 911 that's really cool is that they give you 4 perfectly sized, disc size jack points to put your jack stands. So it worked out really, really well. I didn't need to buy any special Porsche pads for this thing. I just got them with the QuickJack. They were a little pricey, but you can see that they're certainly worth it. I wish I could get it, you know, just a little bit taller, like, because there was a good 4 maybe inches, I'm sorry, between the bottom of the pad and the jack point. So I know I can get it. And look at that. I'm like right there, man. So this is good. I think this is a good height to be at. I'll see. You know, wanting it higher is just a kind of wishful thinking. But yeah, so now I have a pretty good access to the engine and all of this stuff. So cool deal.
What we're looking at here is the business end of a Porsche 911 2002 Carrera convertible. So what are we looking at here? Well, you know, overall it doesn't look too bad. There's some oil, there's some seepage coming out of the rear main seal. A lot of rust on these manifolds. So I'm not too happy about that, but hey man, I've seen worse. See these bolts here? Really rusted. Exhaust O2 sensor. Got some leakage from above. So, you know, I hate to say it, but while we're in here.
Is your husband suffering from WIIT Syndrome, also known as while I'm in there syndrome? Does he take an engine out and use it as an excuse to refresh everything inside of it?
Sweet.
Hey, what's a connecting rod bearing and why do you need it?
While I was in there?
Does he look at a powertrain and decide to upgrade the suspension?
What's a control arm bushing? I thought you were fixing some oil thingy.
While I was in there?
Have you noticed you can no longer balance your checkbook?
How much money is in our account? WIIT syndrome is a real affliction, not only affecting professional mechanics, but weakened gearheads as well. We need your help.
If you think you may have a problem with WIIT syndrome, please consult your doctor. Symptoms may include
There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. Look at that. Broken. Let me get my light. Right there. Broken. Snapped off there. That looks like a stabilizer. Is that a stabilizer bar? Yeah, it's a stabilizer bar of some kind. Or am I looking at it right? So bushings are all messed up on the sway bars. Here on the linkage. Probably gonna need new shocks. Yeah. So what I'm gonna be doing next is I'm gonna drain the oil and change the filter. But before I put everything back up, I'm gonna take this thing apart. And this is the sump. This is the oil sump. So this gives me perfect access to the cylinders. And if you're not familiar with a Boxster engine, this engine is a flat 6. So if you imagined a car a normal front engine car is a V or an inline row of pistons. These are horizontally opposed. So you've got 3 here and 3 on the other side. These are your exhaust manifolds. They all come together through the muffler system and then out the tailpipe. So this gives me direct access. In comparison, this beautiful sump, you see how easy it is to get to? If you've watched my Project Olaf videos, you'll know that the problem with the car was low oil pressure, and I couldn't investigate the oil pickup without dropping the subframe to look at that. Now, in hindsight, yeah, I probably could have done it now that I'm more skilled at what I do, but even then, it's still a chore. It should be like this, is my point. Easy access to everything. And looks like this guy has rubbed the bottom of this pan. Here as well. Nothing major, but man, it took some skin off there. Look at that. Wow. Let me get focus on that. There, that's better. You can see this bar here took some damage. All this linkage, look at this. It's just flopping around. And I've got some kind of spider web infestation going on in this car. You can see I'll have to get a better look at those spider webs. You can see them right there with the reflection of the light. Here as well. Let's take a look at the front. I mean, the car was only sitting for a little bit and it's already rusted over the rotors, but the car it's been very humid here in Houston because it's been raining like crazy. Let's take a look at the suspension here. Huh, those look new-ish. Well, I just bought some new ones. Great, for the front. I'm gonna need some liner pins and stuff. I'm making a mental note of all the stuff that's needed. I haven't been really using this car or even investigating some of the issues because I've been working on Olaf, but now I'm back at it. And there's something right there. What the heck? Come back here, light. There. What is that? Whatever it was, I just pushed it out. I'll have to see what that is. Something's supposed to go right there. Wondering if it's that. But let's give this suspension a shove here and see if it makes any noise. So the way you test the suspension is you give it a rock back and forth. But one thing you should notice is that the wheel is steering. The steering lock is broken on this car. So I can't really... It's a good test for the lift too. That looks okay. Okay, where I put my light, you can tell what I'm looking at. I'm gonna zoom in because I'm in wide angle. There. Yeah, I'm not sure. That looks like they bottomed out pretty good here. Took the whole insulating under spray or whatever off of it. I'm not sure about all that. I mean, how do you scrape a car with 18-inch wheels? Come on, man. New control arms. Yeah, okay. I was hesitant on pulling the trigger on any suspension buys until I gave it a good look. So I'm working on my Porsche. Last night I finally got the Porsche up on jacks, and I decided to investigate these spider webs that I started seeing rappelling down from the underbelly of the car onto my garage floor. I didn't think really anything of it. I just thought they were just, some spiders. And then I finally found the actual mother spider last night, and it appears to be a southern black widow. And what's concerning about that is that I may have more than one in this car.
So I'm on the prowl to clean out these Black Widow spiders out of my Porsche. So it just keeps paying me, man. It keeps paying me dividends. I'm gonna get this resolved, but I wanna show you what I'm looking at first. Take a look.
And I'm hoping this shows up, okay? So what I want you to look at is the area between the jack stand and my floors. And I'm gonna put the light there and let's see if you can see the reflection from the webbing. So here we go. Yeah, I see some of it. Yeah, you see all that? So I was under this car yesterday and in this exact spot because the nest is between the wheel well and the liner of the car. So, and I have some video that I took last night, but you can see that she is expanding. She's getting more and more comfortable in my house, which is a bad thing. There's a big nest right here, or a big group of webs, and across here as well. So she's got herself pretty much her own little metropolis of hiding places. I gotta figure out how to take care of this. Slap some Raid on her or something. You know, I don't want to catch and release a poisonous spider in my family neighborhood. So yeah, let's see if I can find her. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but that came along as a hitchhiker. That spider. Ooh, look at those eyes. Can I get any closer? Whatever it is, you can see the little... Oof. That thing has got a whole nest up in there. Can you see that? Yep. Just please don't be a Black Widow. I hate spiders. Yeah. I saw red belly. It's interesting because I was just in here cleaning the drains. Okay, watch out. Don't tell me what she'll do. There, see the nest? And she's dead. I killed her. Right there. Yep, and that's an egg. There's two of them. So the question is where's the female? I mean the male, you know? If these are fertilized eggs, look at that thing right there. Ooh, look at that thing spread out.
She did not like that.
No. Okay, so eggs are toast. Okay.
All good?
Yep.
All right, now that I've taken care of the Black Widow situation for now, I'm sure there's another one out there somewhere. I'm gonna drain the oil on this thing, but I also wanna get a sample to check and see what the metal situation looks like, if there's anything breaking down in the engine. There's a couple of different places that you can go to get that type of service, but I go to Blackstone Laboratories, and some people like it, some people don't. I'm a fan of Blackstone. There we go. Yeah. So here comes the mess. All right.
I let the engine warm up a bit. I didn't get it to operating temperature. In fact, it feels pretty cold. There. And I got some all over my floor. Thank you, oil. Oil doesn't look too bad. It's actually pretty clear. Get another little sample right there. It smells a little gassy, but I think that's just me. Oh, man. Look at that mess you made. Look at that. Thanks a lot. All right, so nothing too exciting. I'm gonna take the oil filter out and then I'm gonna dump the sump. All right, so these are 10 mil. Perfect, but I don't know if it's showing up on the camera. It's covered in some grime here. So, you know, obviously you want a good seat on your socket. You do not want to strip these bolts out because then you'll be in a bigger pickle. It's so interesting why this stuff has so much grime. I don't want to say anything, but because I have no proof, but I think this car was underwater, but not completely. It didn't damage the engine. I just saw what looked like some water residue in the airbox, like you know, a water line at the very bottom. But you know, nothing. And the fact that there's mud and whatever this debris is, this detritus in here, that seems highly unusual. I have an oil spill mat. If you guys don't use that in your garage at home, you really should consider it because it keeps the oil from spilling all over your floor. In case you're wondering, this thing's not going to come toppling down on me. There's a gasket here made of RTV or silicone that's holding it in place, but I'll be sure to hold it just in case there's not enough. But if there wasn't enough, you would see oil seeping all around this thing. You know, what makes me happy a little bit about this is that the bolts aren't seized up, so you can tell that the sump has been dropped before. Yeah, see, nothing falling. All right, so that's a good pry point. You can see this little lip here, and then that lip, that's a pry point. And then there should be a similar one on this side. If not, then that's fine. I'll start there. So let me get my little pry bar. So I'll just stick my little pry bar. This is made of aluminum, so you don't want to warp it, because then you'll be buying yourself a new sump pan. There we go. Beautiful. Again, another example of Porsche engineering where they take into consideration that, hey, you know, the buyer may actually want to work on this, so maybe we shouldn't make it so hard to...
All right, here's a little lessons learned on this one. What I should have done here is
thank you, Porsche.
Left a few of the bolts partially threaded in the sump so that once this thing pops loose, it doesn't come flying down on you.
And that's why you have a tray. It just went bloop and fell right out. Wow, that's nice and clean. Nice and clean. Yeah, so that black thing right there that's gushing out all the oil, that's an oil pickup. And it's pretty clean, man. Let me see. Oh yeah, there's nothing in there. Nothing. That thing is super clean. So again, this goes back to what I was saying, my theory around this sump has been opened up like this before because the pickup is unusually clean for such an old engine. Now's the time to start bore scoping, but I'm gonna let that drip out and circle back on this afterwards. And I feel like I've been here before, but with a different brand of car and also with different results. Yeah, so this is the bottom of the oil sump. What you're looking at here are oil baffles. The point of the oil baffles is to keep the oil from sloshing away too much from the pickup. The oil pickup sits right here, right? So the oil intake's in, high G turns like a right or left turns on a track, for example, could push all the oil to one side. And this is a known problem with these 996 models,
is that apparently heavy right turns on a track cause oil starvation. And that's why a lot of the racers are going to a deep sump, which gives you a few more quarts of oil in there. You know, for daily driving, I don't really need that. This car will never, I mean, it may see a track, but it's not going to be any type of cup race. It's just recreational. So anyway, this looks really good. I mean, get the RTV off of this stuff, clean it up, but dang, there's really not much I need to clean. So the plan is this. Honestly, I feel like I'm kind of scatterbrained on this car because I had a mission with Project Olaf. Project Olaf, I knew I had a problem. My problem was that I had low oil pressure. I needed to investigate the extent of the damage and figure out the cause. Did both, resolved it, car's good to go. There's really nothing wrong with this car other than it being from Florida and seeing a lot of water. So I've got to deal with rust on the interior, but the engine so far looks good. The oil is not dirty. You saw that when I drained it. You could see through it, which is a good deal. I'm not seeing any debris in the sump. The oil pickup was completely clear. So what I'm going to have to end up doing is probably put a long list of things that I'm going to tackle first, or tackle and put them in an order so that I can figure out what I need to concentrate on. Because right now, this scatterbrain approach of doing oil and filter, suspension, blah, 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 all over the place, no, that's not working for me. I like an orderly fashion of things. I like to say, today I'm going to work on oil. Tomorrow I'm going to work on suspension. And the priorities are this, you know. So priority one for me is bore scoring. I need to make sure that I'm not wasting my time or money on this car if it's got a major problem. Yes, it has problems. Yes, it has mechanical problems. But the mechanical problems, as you saw, are pretty minor. I mean, it's maintenance related, right? You got a car that's got 101,000 miles. Whether it's a Porsche or a Honda Accord, more than likely your rear main seal is going to need to be replaced. And that's what I'm seeing here. The next thing is cylinder head gaskets. It's a race car. It puts a lot of pressure on those cylinder heads, and those gaskets are 101,000 miles old. I'm going to take care of all of that. So I'm going to focus on just refreshing the engine from a daily driver standpoint. I'm not going to go crazy. I will drop the engine. I will replace the cylinder heads. I will move the oil, the air oil separator, all that good stuff that people are recommending for me. But I'm not going to go crazy with a complete engine teardown. You heard me. I may not tear this engine down. It all depends on what I see inside of the bores.
Okay, I'm using my trusty Tesla on camera here. And you can immediately tell that this engine has a lot of oil inside of the combustion chamber. Not unheard of with a car like this. However, the extent seems to be indicating that the piston rings will need to be replaced. I stopped it here so that you can take a look at the buildup between the cylinder wall and the piston. It's a lot. That's a lot of carbon, and it's very, very wet, so you can tell that there's oil definitely seeping in. You see here, you can see some obvious seepage going on here between the ring and the cylinder wall. That's a key indicator of a bad piston ring, especially an oil ring. But primarily what I'm here for is to verify that there's no bore scoring going on in the cylinder. And you can see, for example, here initially, there is no bore scoring. That's normal wear that you're seeing along the cylinder walls. A little bit more than I'm comfortable with, but it is certainly not a bore scoring in any shape or imagination. You can see little brown streaks in between some of those score marks on the cylinder, indicating that oil is definitely coming through there.
A shout out to Jack Reveal over there. The guy knows everything you need to know about these M96, M97 engines. So I'm gonna get the piston up to the topmost position, which I think it's already there, and then scope it from the sump as best I can. It's gonna take some time to get there, but then I wanna look below the skirts on cylinders number 6, 5, and then 4. 6 is usually the indicator of bore scoring. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there won't be any, but let's go ahead and get this thing set up. So I've got my super awesome camera clipped into the position inside of cylinder 6, and you can see the top of the piston there all covered up with oil and carbon. But I'm gonna crank the engine to make sure that it's all the way up. So what I'm looking for is for it to not move down. And there it goes, it's moving down. Okay, so I'm just gonna go all the way around and come back to it. I don't know what the rule is about going backwards on a Boxster engine. So there, it's going down. You can hear the compression. All right, here it comes. Okay. Almost. Right there. Okay. That's exactly where we need to be. So let's go below now and maybe we'll get lucky and knock this out real quick. Okay, so I needed to get my hands free so I could help steer the camera when I get it in there, because I was having trouble holding the Teslong display while I'm, you know, manhandling this there. Okay, so it looks like we got a little bit of grease down the outside. All right, so let's get it in here. Try it again. Okay, let's record.
So as I mentioned, Jack Raby from Flat 6 Innovations' recommendation is to come through the sump, but you'll notice that I am approaching it from the first bank, which is bank 1, 2, and 3, and go across the crank and into piston number 5. And once you hit piston number 5, you want to hang a left and try to go between the crank and the cylinder walls, and then snake back into cylinder number 6. Easier said than done. It's a pretty good struggle. Okay, where am I now? All right, looks like I'm inside the piston. All right, 40 grueling minutes later, I finally got the angle that I was looking for. And again, the 90-degree angle camera saved me at this point. But as you can see in here, there is no bore scoring in cylinder 6. Just like Jack Raby said, you have to see the true story from underneath the piston. And clearly, I'm in good shape. It's too bad that I can't get any closer, but I'm pretty satisfied with the results of this shot. Okay, so I would say that was a success. This tool right here, this Teslong, is worth every penny. I had a cheaper one that would plug into a tablet, but the tablet was a Chrome OS, and they didn't provide you any software, so they expected you to download software from the Google Store. And for those of you who know about the Google Store, they're not as secure as the Apple Store. So the app that they recommend that you download was filled with spyware. Long story short, don't waste your money on a cheap endoscope. Get one that's going to do the job. And for mechanics, get one that has 2 cameras on it, one in the front and one at a 90-degree angle, because it just saved me a lot of headache. Even though it took me about 40 minutes, I think, total to get the information that I needed, I got it. So what does that mean? Well, just as Bruce, aka Texas Squirrel from Renlist, with his test through the Durametric, indicated that there was no issue with the engine with bore scoring. I just confirmed that by using this camera. I was able to flip it over to the 90-degree camera and see the bottom end of the piston and the entire cylinder, and noticed that there was no bore scoring going on there. So other than this car having some rust issues on the interior, which is a future video, the engine is good. So let's keep cracking. Thanks for watching Yogi's Garage. Oh,
if you haven't subscribed, which is a lot of you, please consider subscribing, because I'm gonna continue to drop videos more often. I wanna apologize first and foremost to my viewers. I have not dropped a video in over almost a month, actually. Reason being is, hey, life happens. I've got a real job. I needed to build up material on my new project, right? I don't have a slew of cars in my fleet like some of the bigger, well-known guys out there, like a Sam Crack, or like Alex from the Legit Street Cars channel. Those guys have a fleet, Hoovie's Garage. I've got one car. So I gotta build, or I gotta pad my videos, and then I can string them together. Plus I gotta come up with a good storyline, right? I promised you a storyline. I'm still working on it. I wish I had one, to be honest, but you know, work is work, and we gotta pay the bills. So anyway, like, subscribe, check me out on Instagram. I'm thinking about doing a TikTok as well. I'm using YouTube stories. So if you haven't seen any of my YouTube stories, they're about 15 seconds long. I'm trying to keep everybody updated on what I'm doing. So until next time, thanks for watching Yogi's Garage. We'll see ya.